Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Starbucks with Jim and DiNardo. I, of course, am your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me this morning, as always, is the co-host, Jim Rosati. Jim, you persevered. You didn't go on the IL, even though you have, I think your knee might be worse than Joe Burrow's.
It probably is, DiNardo. Yeah, it was a rough doubleheader last night. It was our last game of the regular season and the first game of the playoffs. So it was
Oh, wow.
a long day at the ballpark.
Last day of the regular season and playoffs all in one night. How about that? That's men's adult softball league right there for you.
Yep.
And tell us, what was the final?
Yep, very much so. So we lost actually the regular season game.
Wow.
But then we won our
imagine
playoff
put up
game
26 runs
26. Yeah, imagine that.
Oh yeah.
We were probably close to that the first game though.
So
it happens.
All right. Yeah. Well, here we are this morning, the day before Thanksgiving, which I'm thankful for. I'm ready for Thanksgiving. Because you know what that means? That means we're closer to Christmas, which means we're closer to New Year's, which means get 2020 out of here. I don't know about you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much 2020 will kind of seep into 2021. I guess we'll see. But yeah, 2020 is almost over. Only one more month.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about baseball. We got a pretty packed show today. I guess we can go back to last week. So more or less the Rule 5 deadline was up. Protect your players. What's up, Chaspel 23? So yeah, the deadline came about to protect your players. So let's see here. The Pirates went ahead and made some moves, Jim. They made some moves. They DFA'd Jose Osuna and they DFA'd Trevor Williams. Now, in order to do that, they did so to make room for Rodolfo Castro and Max Kranick. But there was a lot of heat on Twitter about the two moves, the Trevor Williams and, for some reason, of course, as we, I guess, expected, Jose Osuna. I mean, what is your take on this? Tell me about your thoughts on those two being DFA'd.
I'll start with Trevor Williams. I mean, he was somebody that I had predicted was, going to be designated for assignment or non-tendered. It just comes down to like production. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how likable of a guy you are, how nice you are, how fan friendly you are. Which Trevor Williams is all of those things. Like, he's a good guy, people like him, but you still have to perform on the field. Like, this is an athletic competition. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it doesn't, what really matters is what he does on the field. And Trevor Williams, unfortunately, hasn't been able to replicate the success that he had, when he kind of first broke into the league. I mean, these last 2 years for Trevor Williams have just not been good. He's statistically, he has not been a good pitcher. So if you want to continue being bad and continue trotting out pitchers who are struggling, then you keep Trevor Williams. But I mean, I don't know. He's probably not going to get a major league deal anywhere. So I don't know. I get people's frustration on it. I guess it wasn't really a shock to me just because I was expecting it to happen.
Right.
But
right.
Yeah, I think you just, like I said, at the end of the day, you got to perform. He wasn't performing.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. And I'm with you. Like, the thing about losing Trevor Williams here, him being DFA'd, I totally get. Now, I guess maybe it was mixed. There was definitely some heat on Twitter of, how dare you release them? And some people happy and excited. I can at least understand why you can look at this as a business decision, right? As a baseball move and say it made sense. But at the same time, you can also feel a little bit because you're exactly right. In the sport that we talk about constantly, where, there's a whole lot of personality, there's not a whole lot of emotion, you don't really see the players You don't really know the players in that sense. Like you got that from Trevor Williams. On and off the field, he had a personality. I mean, he guy had a podcast for Christ's sakes. Think about it. Like he had a podcast out there that's actually pretty
Yeah.
entertaining. He did quite a bit with the social media in Pittsburgh, with the Pirates. But also, like, not just that, like, not just his personality, not just, him being a dude, my dudes. I could easily see myself, I think many of us going out and hanging out with Trevor Williams and probably having a good time if you're not blocked, which that could be something you could say
Mhm.
about him. But, like, he just seems like a down to earth guy. But, like, not only those cool things about him, he did a lot within the community. So, like you said, like he is one of those good guys that you hate to see something like this happen to him as a person, right? But when you look at it as the baseball side of it, you're right, Jim. Like I do understand it. I do get it. I think he even more or less said it. Like he just wasn't pitching up to his performance as he needed to do, which he feels he's more capable of. And we were some Trevor Williams backers, a few years back. And not
Mhm.
that we said that, he's like a frontline starter or, that second half of what was it, 2018 was like the Trevor Williams you expect. I felt comfortable knowing that Trevor Williams could easily be a back end starter. He's gonna fill innings. He's not fancy, he's not sexy, but he just gets the job done. But you're right, Jim. Like the past 2 years, he has regressed every single year. Going back to the full season in 2019, 5.38 ERA, the 5.12 FIP. It wasn't good, but you figure maybe that's more of a blip on the map. But then coming into this year, again, regressed even worse, a 6.18 ERA with a 6.30 FIP as well. Yeah, the Ks went up, but the walks went up. And the thing is, the past 2 years,
Mhm.
man, that long ball has been a huge issue for him. So you're right. Like I understand you want to talk about cheap nutting and he's probably going to cost
Mhm.
3 to $4 million. Like I get that, but is it really
Yeah.
worth investing the 3 to 4 into him when maybe you can find someone else to retread or, as they say, let the kids pitch in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, so I think, like I said, it's just one of those guys where you feel bad seeing him go, um, but again, just the last 2 years we're not up to. I mean, you would say not up to his expectations, not up to his standards, not up to really the major league pitcher
Eh,
standards.
yeah, right. And
Uh,
like you said, I mean, I can maybe see him getting a major league deal, but if so, it's going to be very, very minimal. But you're probably right. It's most likely going to be a minor league deal. I mean, teams are going to be looking at him for the same reason we're looking at pitchers, someone to hopefully catch lightning in a bottle with. Maybe we can turn him around. Um, the thing about Trevor, though, is it's not as if, and also let's put this way, because I've seen, you're going to see this with every player I feel like the Pirates get rid of. But oh, he's going to go over to Tampa, or he's going to go over to some other team and turn into a future Cy Young winner. This that. Thing about Trevor is he doesn't have anything near the stuff that a lot of these other pitchers have. Like he's no Tyler Glass now. He's no
mhm.
Charlie Morton, no Garrett Cole. Right? He's the guy that's got to hit his marks, going to pitch to contact here and there. But it's not like he has some devastating slider or curveball or such.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. When he's on and he's hitting his locations, he is a solid starting pitcher. Um, he's not going to blow you away with anything. But best of luck to him. I hope he lands somewhere and can do had. But yeah, just towards the end of last year, it was looking like it wasn't going to be in Pittsburgh.
Right. Yep. I fully agree. By the way,
Yeah.
Mitch just mentioned he loves the ticker this morning. We'll get into that here a little bit sooner as well, Mitch, for you. But yes, enjoy the ticker. All right, so let's move on from Trevor. Let's talk about the infamous Jose Ozuna, which I think was. I mean, let's also talk here. I mean, they had until what, December 2nd to offer, the contracts, offer arbitration, whatever, to the players. I had a feeling Trevor wouldn't last till then, and he didn't. But I think by all means, no one was shocked. And by no one, I mean the realistic people was shocked that Jose Ozuna was DFA'd. Why are we still having Jose Ozuna love affairs? I just don't understand this. I don't get it. I'm absolutely baffled. Like, I feel like the outrage was heavier for Jose Ozuna for the people that were upset than for Trevor Williams.
Yeah, I don't really get it. I mean, there's nothing that Jose Osuna has really ever done to make you think that he's going to be anything more than what he is. He's going to be 28 years old here in 2 weeks. He's not young. I've heard people say that he hasn't really gotten a chance. He's had 600. He's had 705 major league plate appearances over the last 4 years. 2 of those years with over 200. So it's not like he never got chances to play. At no point in those years, was he even really an above average hitter. I don't really understand the love affair. I think it's just one of those things where you see him less, and I think it maybe has to do with last year in particular, where this team just really doesn't have any power at all, really, outside maybe Josh Bell, like when he's on. And so I don't know if people he is one of those guys where he does have some pop,
sure.
Right? Like that's a legit tool that he has. So I don't know if people just see the pop and they're like, why doesn't this guy play more? Well, you still got to do other things. His career on base percentage is 280. It's just not. It's not going to cut it. And then the proof on everything is, he leaves Pittsburgh and he's going to now be playing it over in Asia. So,
right.
If the people that you're letting go are leaving to go play baseball in Asia, it means you made the right decision.
Usually, you're 100% correct. I guess like the only time is maybe a little bit younger, and maybe now they get the experience over Asia and they improve and maybe come back as like an Eric Thames. But that's still usually the anomaly, right? So I think you're 100% correct. Like that was almost the saving grace of this. Like he gets DFA'd, but then almost immediately after that, you saw the information coming out that, well, it's very likely he has something lined up over in Asia. And you're like, see, like, here you go. No other MLB team even wants to pick him up. So, like, not only has he gone through 2 regimes, and both of them have looked at Jose Ozuna and said, you're not anywhere near our future. All 29 other teams had the chance to go ahead and pick him up for very cheap in a year that people are probably look up for cheap players and said, no, thank you. He's going to Asia. So, yes. So, okay. So back up again. Here's why I'm just so lost on this. Okay. I can understand the argument that you're frustrated and you don't like Polanco, you don't like Bell, you don't like Moran, and you want to replace those players. That's a good argument. I fully understand it. You're frustrated with those guys. We need to solve this answer. My problem is when Jose Ozuna is your solution to a problem. Isn't that a greater problem? I mean, Jose Ozuna cannot be absolutely the solution. So we can have the argument all day long about the position that he plays, right? The other guys that are getting the playing time, but it can't be solved by him. Then obviously that's the problem. We got to find an outsider somewhere else. Yes, Brian Hayes is coming up, but if the guy who has, as you mentioned, Jim, 705 plate appearances in the major leagues at age 28 and is by career 16% worse off, right? Below average hitting wise in positions that require premier hitting. That's just average. So that includes shortstops, second baseman, catchers, center fielders. Like he's 16% below average league wide, but as far as like his positions go, he's probably 20% or worse So you want a guy who's 20% worse than the average player out there in MLB to be your answer? You still got big problems.
Yeah, I mean,
Can we also, and I'm sorry, can we
you
also
said
just
it
say
right.
he hasn't produced a positive WAR yet to date? His best
You know
season
what though?
has
You know
been
what though? He
replacement.
hasn't he hasn't produced a negative WAR season in 2 years.
That's the positive.
No, I mean right. He's the definition of a replacement level player.
Right.
He is the guy that if you need someone who can plug into a lineup and at least like pretend to be a major league hitter, it's him.
You're right. He is the definition. Like when they created the replacement player to create WAR, they used Jose Osuna and they said
Mhm.
all these levels, you know, as better as you are to Jose Osuna, that's how better you are as a replacement player. You're right. His first year, negative 0.6 WAR. His second year, negative 0.1 WAR. And then back to back, 0 WAR season. So he's never made a positive impact to this club ever. And yet we want him to be the answer. I don't get it.
Yeah, no, it's weird. Like there are quite a few people who like carry the Jose Osuna flag, and yeah, I don't really get it. I said the power is legit. It's a legit tool that he has. Like he compared to other players on this team,
Yeah.
but
Well,
he hits a home run approximately every 25 at plate appearances, something like that, which is probably better than most of this team. But like I said, outside of that, he's just not a good player. He doesn't hit the ball hard. He doesn't get on base. He doesn't particularly play defense all that great. He's better than Josh Bell, right? So I guess it's one of those things where like we see Jose Osuna playing first base, and then we see
defensively.
Josh Bell playing. Yeah, so like
Yeah.
defensively, he's better than what they typically trot out there. But yeah, he just hasn't been like I said. He's never been average. At no point in his major league career in his 4 seasons has he been an average hitter. Um,
He was close.
he was close one
Last year,
year,
he
and like
almost
that's
made it, Jim.
yeah, and like people like point to that year, like saying like he's good. Well,
Right.
like he was still below average. So
And again,
um,
that's not like average as far as third baseman or first baseman. That's
yeah,
just league
that's
wide.
average major league hitters.
Right.
Yeah,
At his best, he's a replacement level player. And, you know, it's funny you say that, and this is how we can transition as well. But you know, like you say, he has power and it's legit, and I get that. But you know who else had power? Some real legit power, Jim. Way more legit power than Jose Ozuna. Pedro Alvarez. And let's also
yep,
think Pedro Alvarez got, well, I guess not DFA. They just non-tendered him at that point, right? He might have been DFA. I'm not sure of the timing of it. But regardless, the Pirates said, you know what? You're not even good enough for us. You know, this is a guy who had
yeah,
36 home runs, led the NL one year, right? Over 100 RBIs. But we saw how terrible his defense was. We saw how pathetic his overall, hitting got. The power is still there. But even
mm,
Pedro Alvarez wasn't good enough for this team and let him go. So that's what we'll transition here into Ben Cherington. So, Ben Cherington makes the move and says, see ya, Trevor, see ya, Jose. I think you and we had a little talk about this, at that time. Want to kind of bring it up here. It seems almost like, I don't know, to you, to me, maybe it seems like Cherington's getting a lot of love by a lot of people for things. And I don't know if it's totally well deserved. And I guess what I say that is maybe because
mm,
it's based on the last regime. Like there's a lot of bad taste in our mouth from Neil Huntington. And now it seems as if for a lot of people, most of the things Charrington does gets praised. And one of them being like, well, he went ahead and made the move of, releasing Trevor Williams. And, the last regime would never dare do that. They'd hang on to these players and blah, blah, blah. And again, as I mentioned, like the last regime did get rid of Pedro Alvarez. They did that move. They didn't hold on
yeah.
to Pedro, Um, is the love that Charrington's really getting right now deserved in your mind?
Um, I mean, there's I mean, short answer, no. I think at the end of the day, though, he's a fresh face, like you said. Um, I think people are willing to give him the benefit of the doubt for a little bit, so he kind of has this long leash on him for the time being, where he's going to be this shiny new thing. Um, so I think people are gonna at least like go with the flow for a
Mhm.
while. Um, but at the same time, there really hasn't been anything that Ben Cherington has done that has separated him from Neil Huntington. Like, I mean, you could just like when we joked about it, like you could just you I would be perfectly not that surprised if one day Ben Cherington just like took off his face mask and it was Neil Huntington, because like from like their quotes, everything they say, they sound like the exact same person. Like
Right.
they use that same type of speak. Um, and I mean, if you look at the moves that Charrington's made, it's still, let's pick up these relievers and throw them at a wall and see what sticks. Like they're very similar type moves to what Neil Huntington would make.
Mhm.
Um, and again, with the draft, we talked about that. He got a power college bat, which isn't what we have seen all that often from Huntington outside of Pedro.
Right.
But then you mentioned just in our text conversation that it would have been hard to not take Nick Gonzalez. Like he kind of fell to them, and he was clearly the best available player. So um, yeah, so I don't know. Well, like I said, I think he deserves the benefit of the doubt for a little bit. Like I'm willing to not jump on him and go on him too hard, but um, yeah, I mean at this point he still really hasn't wowed me with anything.
Right. And that's I think where I'm at too. It's by no means am I bashing Cherington at all on this. And I
Absolutely
think you're
not.
the
Yeah.
same right here. This isn't a
Mhm.
segment where we want to tell everyone stop loving him. He's terrible. But I think so. Let's date back a year ago when, well, I don't know. It might have been. What was Huntington fired yet at this point a year ago? I can't remember if we've reached that point.
Yeah.
I think he was at this time. But I
I think he
think
was
they were
too.
still searching, right? They went to the GM meetings without a GM, right?
Right.
Okay. So they were still searching. So they were still with Corn Ferry trying to find a GM. Ryan I think applied and got turned down rather quickly from Corn Ferry. But what we talked about was I wanted Arnold. I think Ryan was on board too, from Milwaukee. The things that did scare us about Charrington was just so many of the similarities from Neil Huntington. Without even talking about baseball, just where they're from, where they went to school, like their patterns in baseball and life, they were so similar. And there was some concern to that. Like, are we going to get Neil Huntington 2.0? Okay. So, yes, he comes in with a little bit of concerns for me about that. Now, he comes in late, like you mentioned last year. I give him the benefit of the doubt as well. I mean, how do you really put together a team? How do you really put together a plan when you come in and you didn't even attend the GM meetings, as we just mentioned? So, you're coming in fresh at the winter meetings, don't really make any moves because you have no idea what your team is, right? What direction? I mean, I'm sure you have a direction in your mind, but still, regardless, the evaluation,
Right.
the creating a plan, getting your whole organization around you, whatever, that has not been done. Um, so like I give him the benefit of the doubt of that, but it's almost like the moves that he has made just kind of make sense too. Like you said, like nothing has wowed me. I haven't really. There hasn't been too many times where I've looked at something and said that's a terrible decision. Which the reason I say that is, and again, something we talked about in text too. I can definitely say that for Derek Shelton. Derek Shelton has definitely made both of us say, "What the hell was that?" So at least Charrington hasn't given us that yet. But right, like in the draft, you can praise him for taking Nick Gonzalez, but at the same time, you can say, "Well, had you not, that'd have been a terrible decision. Like, what's wrong with you?" So it kind of fell into his lap that Nick Gonzalez fell more or less to him. The move stuff that he's done. But right, I mean, the way he talks, what he's done, it almost seems like Neil Huntington 2.0. And the thing I also want to talk about here is I feel like Neil at this point gets too much hate. Because let's also go back to when Neil took over this regime. What was the stuff that you're hearing out of his mouth? We're going to be analytically driven. We're going to worry about these type of stats, look into this type of stuff. Like, it's not just about batting average, not just about on base, it's about this. And there's excitement. Like you said, it's a fresh face, different voice. Like, we're going to do all this stuff and it sounds great. Well, Cherington comes in and we're going to now do a whole new pitching, coach and new strategy. And we're pitching to contact. It's new stuff. We're going to do this again. It's like Neil Huntington when it's fresh. So, like, what's going to happen in Cherington in like 7 years from now? Again, like, that's how I kind of feel about this too. I'm not saying that he's been terrible, but right. It's kind of Neil Huntington 2.0 so far, but again, it's not totally a dig because Neil Huntington 1.0 was pretty nice in the, the late 2010s, late 2000s, early 2010s. Sorry, whatever that is.
Yeah. I mean, so I said comparing him to Neil Huntington from the start isn't necessarily a bad thing because Huntington took a terrible team and turned them into, a playoff team. Right. So it's that's again, that's not a dig. I mean, it wasn't like Neil Huntington's problems weren't the beginning part of his tenure. I think he struggled with some HR stuff at the beginning part of his tenure, but the on-field product got better pretty much every year. When once he kind of bottomed out there. So yeah, I until later his later years were not good. But yeah, I said again, willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. He came in last year late, so he really couldn't get a whole lot done last offseason. The Starling Marte trade seems like it's a decent trade for now. It would have been nice to have a minor league season to see how Malone and Guerrero performed, but hopefully we got minor league baseball next year and we can see those two. But that trade seems to be good.
But also, let's talk. But doesn't that also seem kind of Huntington-ish too, right? I mean, when that trade came about, I was kind of disappointed initially. I do like it afterwards.
It was a trade,
but it wasn't like it was like this clear cut. Like, wow, we traded Marte and we got great value. It was like a high risk, high reward Huntington type trade.
Yeah, no, it was fine. Like at the time of the trade, it was like, okay, let's see what happens here. I don't think there was anyone like praising it right off the bat, but I mean, it seems like Peguero is going to, he's sneaked his way into some top 100 lists that I've seen, and Malone's kind of right on the cusp there. So yeah, I mean, we'll see how that goes. He's got one other, trade chip this offseason in Joe Musgrove,
yes,
who may be able to be turned into something similar that Marte was able to get. So we'll see how he proceeds with that. I think there was an article in The Athletic saying that he's definitely a trade candidate, but he's also a extension candidate. So we'll see what happens there. Like I said, willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. He came in late last year. Let's see what happens. Let's see how a Ben Cherington organization can look like and what it can do over the next few years. I said he's not a guy that I'm going to turn on this year. He's probably not a guy I'm going to really have an opinion about for a year or two, because again, not having minor league baseball this year and not being able to see any sort of organizational depth really play out. It'll be a few years before I get a hold on kind of what he's done.
Right.
So yeah, I'm willing to give him the opportunity.
Yep. Yeah, and you're right. You're definitely right there. Like, I'm not gonna. You have to see this through, right? I mean, just like with Neil Huntington, you had to see it through, and Neil Huntington came to fruition, like you said, it went to the playoffs. You have to see this through, and yeah, that's definitely gonna hurt. I mean, imagine taking over this organization way late last year, and then you get this type of season where you still barely get to see your prospects. You had a 60-man, pool. So you got to see some of them that you brought up, not all of them. And then the downside too is in that year, like, yeah, you got to see some of yours, but you don't really get to see any of the other prospects. You're not really like, as he's going to shop Musgrove, it's not as if he was able to scout all these other players this year because they're all in their own bubbles doing their own thing. So yeah, that's a nice challenge. So again, like there's definitely still a lot of benefit of the doubt going to Cherington right now, which really sucks. So I hate to be in his shoes right now, especially in this town.
Yeah, yeah. This town isn't there isn't a lot of Pirates love right now. So
Right.
he's got. I mean, it's gonna be a tough job to turn things around. So we'll see if he can do it.
For sure. All right. Let's go to our next topic. Here's where the ticker comes in. So, Jim, a bomb was dropped on Pittsburgh on Pirates Twitter just a few nights ago that apparently, Jim, if you didn't know, Cole Tucker, Vanessa Hudgens on a date together. And as you can see, if you're looking at the stream right now, there's proof.
Yeah.
There's a picture. Cole Tucker making some Derek Jeter moves, and we're not talking about on the field.
No, I mean, hey, good for Cole Tucker. I mean, hey, 2 weeks ago we did our Mount Rushmore of childhood crushes, and Tyler. I haven't even heard from Tyler since this news came out. I think he's devastated.
I think so too. Right.
Tyler is just absolutely devastated. Although maybe he's happy. I mean, if this can last long enough to get to 2021, who knows? Maybe you got Vanessa Hudgens like sitting behind the Pirates dugout next.
I just I'm so blown away from this. I'm not saying. I mean, I'll admit, like, pretty good looking dude. I mean, he's got the swag, he's got the hair flow, you know.
Oh yeah.
But it's just really weird, like Cole Tucker fall. If it was, man, there's so many players in the MLB, like Giancarlo Stanton, or like think about like Matt Kemp and Rihanna back in the day. They kind of made sense. It was still kind of weird, like because you don't really see too many baseball players. It's more like football or basketball, something like that. But like, Matt Kemp and Rihanna, like, whoa, okay, I could see Matt Kemp. And I'm not really, it's not here to dig, but again, like it was Cole Tucker, like that was Cole Tucker. But okay, Cole, go do your thing. But yeah, how ironic it was too. Like you mentioned, just 2 weeks ago, we're talking about Vanessa Hudgens because that was Tyler's crush. And really, if you think about it, I mean, Cole Tucker's 24, is right in about that same. I think Tyler, what is Tyler? 27. I mean, not too far off.
Yeah.
So it's very possible, and I'm sure. And now, if you look back on Twitter, he never mentioned her specifically, but he talked about High School Musical a lot back in the day. I am quite sure Cole Tucker had a crush as well of Vanessa Hudgens. So not only is he just dating Vanessa Hudgens, he's dating his crush, Vanessa Hudgens.
Yes, if Cole Tucker were on the show making his list, I mean, there's a strong chance that she would have been on.
Right. So now
it's crazy though. Like real quick. So like, before like a week ago, if you would Google Cole Tucker, you may see a story on there from The Athletic. You might see a story on there from like, Rum Bunter, Pirates prospects, like those top story lists, right? Top stories, Cole Tucker right now. Yahoo Entertainment, E! News, People, Entertainment Tonight, New York Post, Cosmopolitan.
My man has made it. My man went from the Fan to TMZ.
Yeah, like dude, he's got a TMZ article. That is for sure.
My man's up there with Kanye right now.
It's out there.
It goes Cole Tucker, Kanye West.
Cole Tucker, Kanye. Cole Tucker could run for president next time.
I'll vote. What happens? I will vote. This is, and that's what I'm saying. This is like to come full circle and preference it. Like we talked about our crushes. Those were our crushes in school. Like that was great. But like, could you imagine now you're dating one of them? That's what Cole's doing. He's dating his crush. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's nuts. The quote here: "They had a romantic dinner outside under the stars." This is on E News, by the way. They shared wine and food and had a great 2-hour meal. Vanessa was giddy with laughter. She was looking over at Cole and couldn't contain her smile.
As shown
As the
right here below
that is the report.
on that picture.
That is the report of of Cole Tucker
E News
and Vanessa Hudgens.
E News. The Kardashians, keeping up with the Kardashians at 8. But first, Cole Tucker, Vanessa Hudgens. Move over, Kim Ye. Move over, Kim Kardashian. Here's Cole Tucker. Here is Colessa.
What if we got a reality TV show based around this? That would be awesome.
He's making moves right now. He is leveling up. And I want to give my condolences to a Twitter follower, a female who we follow and she follows back. I know she's as Tyler's devastated. I know she is also devastated. So I'm sorry. My condolences, Kayla. But I'm sorry, your man's leveling up. I got to give him respect.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of crazy out of nowhere. I think it took a while too to reach Pirates Twitter. Like, I feel like it got released on like celebrity Twitter, and then somehow Pirates Twitter got a hold of it like 30 minutes later, and they're like, "Oh wait, hold on, what in the world?"
Yeah, and I've really, and you probably noticed too, like on North Shore, like I've really haven't been on Twitter a whole lot lately, just busy with different things. But yeah, I caught one of that night, and I was just shocked. Like, wait a minute, I have to read this again. Like, let me read this article. Are you for real? And it was legit. And then, yeah, it was like a storm afterward. Everyone talking about.
Probably one of the biggest acquisitions off-season acquisitions the Pirates have made in quite some time.
And again, you can't give Cherington credit for it. So unless if Cherington set this up, then by all means, he has my blessings. Like, Cherington is the man.
Okay, yeah.
By far the best GM in baseball. Although I could almost argue that Nutting set this up. It's just the article, like the timing, the date didn't work out. Nutting set this up to take away the story of releasing Jose Osuna and Trevor Williams. They just accidentally set the wrong date, and it was 2 nights later.
Yeah, that could have been it. It was all placed in the news to distract us from the Jose Osuna talk.
Exactly. So, oh man. So actually, and let's go ahead and we'll get into our mailbag here. A couple questions. Which one does tie into this? So the first question, Jim, this comes from Andy T4579. Presuming vaccine happens and full crowds are back on, even if not full crowds, but a good majority or some, will, and I do like this, he points out Colessa, Hudgens, those are the nicknames. He's already providing some nicknames. I love Colessa. Yes. I'm going with Colessa.
I like Colessa too.
Nice. So will Colessa last long enough that we'll see her at PNC Park in 2021, which I think is what you're alluding to here. So let's answer that. Will they last long enough to see them?
I mean, if you know your celebrity romances,
as Jim clearly does here. Lead us the way, Jim.
If you're up to date on how celebrities date, which I think we all are, we're so obsessed. I think it's probably but I could see Colessa, living up to the hype. Standing the test of time. I'm going to say we see Vanessa Hudgens at a Pirates game next year. That is my prediction. So okay. I'm going to need Cole. I'm going to need Cole to keep her happy. We're going to need to keep Colessa together. Yes, Vanessa Hudgens at a Pirates game.
Yeah, so maybe I'm less optimistic just because, like you're saying. I mean, maybe I need to see more from this. Like the sample size to me, Jim, isn't there yet. So it's just been one game. Well, it's been one date.
It's just that's true. That's true. It's been one game.
Right. Jose Ozuna's come into the lineup, hit one, home run, and now we're calling for him being the long-term player. So it's one date, but yes, I mean they looked pretty legit. Like you said, they're both happy. They're both in each other's arms. The pictures we see, it wasn't just like oh hey, how you doing? I mean, it seems like there's something more there. I mean, this wasn't just like I met you, let's go out. Maybe stuff's been going down in the DMs. They've been connected for some time here. I'm hopeful because there's nothing. I mean, it's the Pittsburgh Pirates. I mean, first off, let's talk. It's Pittsburgh. Most athletes, Pittsburgh's a great city. Pittsburgh's a great sports town. But let's also be real. Like most athletes don't have, even the Steelers, even the Penguins, don't have like celebrity type wives, girlfriends. Like you don't see this much in Pittsburgh. Again, LA, New York, absolutely.
Right.
So to have Vanessa Hudgens in Pittsburgh, if it was the Steelers or anyone, it'd be like, wow. So, it's the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's a bad team. They get a lot of bad press. There's not much to look forward to. You had Vanessa Hudgens in the stands. At least there's, some optimism, some reason to go to the game, see Vanessa Hudgens there, right? Maybe get to walk past her. So I'm really for it because I think this would make a great story. Seeing Vanessa Hudgens not in a Photoshop Pirates hat, like that would be great. But I'm less optimistic just because to me that's still a long time from now that things could just end. But I'm rooting for them, trust me.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Man, Cole. Man. What if this is also like the missing piece for him? It's never been like the stuff's there. It's always been projected. Like we can project the bat, he's gonna turn into this. So we really haven't seen it from Cole. What if this is the missing piece? What if there was just a piece in his heart that was missing? Right. And Vanessa Hudgens has now filled that. And now he just goes full blown, reaches his status. I'm amazing now. I'm the shortstop of the future. He just needed Vanessa Hudgens.
I mean, I think it's got the potential. She can lift him up. Well, I mean, and also if you're Vanessa Hudgens, like you kind of need Cole Tucker to step it up now. So I mean, you can't just be dating like a backup shortstop that's up and down from AAA to the major. Like Cole Tucker, he's gonna have to step up now.
Yeah, Vanessa's not out here trying to date utility players.
No,
she needs a main man.
She needs an all-star.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm to pick it up, Cole.
I'm for it. And now he has a reason. That's also the thing too. You're playing a game.
now he has
your
a
crush
reason
is in the stands. And you want to like amp it up and turn it up. Now he's got a reason. He's going to give that little extra oomph every at bat. Every time he's in the field because Vanessa's watching over him. Look what I can do. He's needed that in his life. So
yeah,
I think they're perfect for each other. They're a great compliment. He brings her down to earth a little bit.
Yes, I don't know what I don't know what he
like. This is the first time she has to pay for meals.
Right. Yeah.
She's got to drive because does Cole even, he might not even have a car at this point.
Who knows? Who knows if Cole Tucker has a driver's license?
So there you go. All right. We'll move on to the next question, but trust me, this is not the end of the Cole Tucker talk on Vanessa Hudgens for the offseason.
We'll have like a Cole Tucker update every we should like a whole segment out of it.
Absolutely. Move over TMZ. Here's NS9. So Chris or Christopher at CWSTH29 says, I like this question. He says, what two cities should MLB expand to? And should it adopt NFL divisions of 4 teams per? I'll hang up and listen. Good question. And I don't think we've really talked about this too much at all on the show, if at any. Let's start on the first part. I mean, if there were expand, which I think is inevitable at some point in time, what 2 cities are on your list?
I think I think there are 3 cities, like off the top of my head, that make sense. So, and those 3 cities are Charlotte, Nashville, and Portland. I think those are the 3 cities that make the most sense. Mainly because also they're all new media markets too. Like you're not saturating a media market with another team. Like you look in North Carolina, you're not that close to Atlanta. You're not that close to DC. I think if you look at the map, I think they get both the Braves and the Nationals kind of as their local team. Portland, Seattle's there, but it's not like it's that close. Nashville, kind of the same way, kind of in between Cincinnati, St. Louis, and Atlanta. And the South in general just doesn't really have. I mean, Atlanta's it really as far as the South goes. If we're not including Florida, which I don't include Florida in the quote unquote South.
But I also agree. It's Florida's its own.
It's different.
Trust me.
So I think if we're gonna add 2, I think you do like one of those 2 southern cities. So if I'm picking, we're probably going Charlotte, Portland, and I like the 4-team divisions. I like it.
Okay, so I'm gonna spin something very differently, and this will never happen. But here's some food for thought, because I thought about this a little bit, and I agree with those 2 cities. If I'm going to be realistic, I do believe Charlotte, Nashville, Portland, definitely up there. Another one actually is Vegas. I'm intrigued by Vegas. I worry a little bit because, now there's an NHL team, now there's a football team. Can it also support an MLB team? In the sense, because like the community, like Vegas itself is not big. It's very isolated. So, but I mean, there's travelers all the time. Like it's cool now to go to Vegas, gamble your ass off, see some shows, do this, do that, do some other things you don't speak of, but then also go to a game. You couldn't do that before. So I'm enticed to see like what an MLB team could do there. But here's my off script, what I would really want, because what I also do worry is it's baseball. There's no salary cap. There's no true, like, real revenue sharing like the NHL and football does. So I just worry that we're going to get 2 poor teams again. Because obviously, like, right now, most cities are, I mean, there's reasons why these cities have baseball teams in them. So now we're going to get 31, 32, and it's like, well, are we just going to have 2 more struggling, per se, baseball teams? I even think about, like, the Rockies and Marlins. They struggle. They have, definitely Miami. The Rockies tend to put up some money, but they still struggle here and there. So I thought about something. Here's what we can do. Here's how we can solve a lot of issues. We put another team in New York and another team in LA. Let's take even more market share from those 2 cities, right? Let's even the game a little bit.
Okay.
So now New York and LA have 3 teams that you all got to split. So what you're doing is
had before
is you're taking the top and putting them down just a little bit to just kind of even things out. I'm for that. It will never happen.
So I guess my argument here would be like, if you're a baseball fan in New York, you're already a Yankees fan or a Mets fan, right?
Yes.
I mean, for the most part,
right?
New York's a melting pot of people, so it's got people from all over. So you're gonna have other fandoms, but if you're a baseball fan living in New York, odds are you already have an allegiance to somebody. If you just add another team in that mix, are you actually going to take any fans from the Yankees or the Mets?
The Mets, yes. That's what I was going to get to. The Mets, yeah. The Mets are dying to find another team. The Mets are.
I don't know.
The Mets. I feel like Met fans will never be Yankees fans, but they don't want to be Mets fans.
That's right. Right. Yeah.
So adding a 3rd team might take away a lot from the Mets, but not the Yankees.
Yeah. So I don't see that being a viable.
I think in LA it'd be the same as
strategy.
Dodgers and Angels. I think it'll lose a lot of Angels fans, but not Dodgers.
Yeah. See, so that's why I think the logical outcome is you need to expand and go into a market that you're not in and try to develop new fans. Actually, I think that's the way to go. I mean, I guess, hey, New York has supported multiple teams in the past. I mean, they at one point they had Yankees, Giants, Dodgers. I mean, those were all in New
Right.
York, so they can definitely support it. Um, but yeah, I think if I had to bet Portland, Charlotte, that would be it. And like I said, the 14 divisions, love that idea.
That I definitely do as well. I absolutely love that idea.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm down with that for sure. I think it would make a whole lot of sense too. Let's have a whole new, realignment and everything in baseball as well, which I think is almost coming also, especially if DH is involved going forward. It now makes sense to realign everyone because everything's the same and do it, realignment and such. But yeah, that was a great question. I think that's something we can even dive further into at another point. I'd love to talk more about that and think about it. But again, realistically, my suggestion ain't going to happen. It doesn't really grow the game. That's why going into like Portland, Charlotte would help and be good for
Yeah.
baseball overall because you're gaining new fans, you're growing the game. This you're putting it in the same places where it's already there. But again, as a small market fan, I just want to, try to help level the playing field a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's how that could maybe potentially work. So yeah,
Yeah.
I like it though.
It is interesting though.
But again, like
Because what?
Vegas is something I would be
Yeah.
intrigued on.
Vegas would be intriguing. It would also so Vegas, like altitude wise, isn't nearly as high as Coors, but Vegas would easily be the second highest
Mhm.
altitude of a major league stadium. So that would be interesting to just see kind of how the game would be played there. So that would be interesting. Um, so yeah, I wasn't really thinking about Vegas. Also, I guess Vegas. I guess you could build an indoor stadium, so that's not an issue. I'll say the heat would be a factor in the summer, but that's not a problem anymore with
And speaking
roofs.
of stadium, like Oakland Stadium is so sweet
Yeah,
looking. It just makes me think like, what could they do with what would the
yeah.
stadium look like as far as baseball goes? Like they built a legit MLB stadium out there for baseball. Like what could they
Mhm.
do with that? What are we going to see that we've never seen before? Because I love Oakland's football stadium.
What if you had touch screens at every seat where you could like live bet
You
every pitch?
know it. Dude, it's going to be
Yeah,
that will be Caesar's Palace. That is what it's going to be called. It's
yeah.
going to be Caesar's Palace. You're playing at the Palace. And right,
Yeah,
it's
that would be fun.
it's in-game live updates, right? Like each at bat,
Mhm.
the lines change, everything, right? Oh man,
Yeah,
all the money they would make out there. See, that's
you could
so.
even bet like pitch by pitch, be like, all right, breaking ball or fastball. I guess you know.
Yeah, I'll put a buck on it, right? So,
Yeah,
and I think that's again like the thing that worried me was market sizes and adding more poorer teams to the league and such, and that's why I think Vegas could because you could definitely get creative with there. I think it'll draw fans not so much in the city, but outside, everyone coming into the city and going to a baseball game. And yeah, like I really didn't think too much about the live betting factor and such. And MLB's already got its what DraftKings is with MLB,
yeah,
so
yeah,
like they already have the deal. I mean, why not? You're in Vegas, so they have, yeah, Vegas could actually probably make a lot of money in that.
yeah. Baseball still has been the. I mean, they've slowly embraced gambling, but they have been the slowest
Yeah,
to do it.
Pete
Just
Pete
because I
Rose
feel
just
like
rolling.
history wise, baseball's had the biggest problems with it. So I guess they'd be a little careful
Right.
there. Yeah, so Vegas is an interesting choice, and I guess we've gone. What was it? Was it 99 or was it 2000?
I say it was definitely
When was it?
earlier than that.
Arizona.
That
That was
sounds about
97,
right.
wasn't it? Arizona and Tampa. But I think it was 1997. Yeah, so it's been a while. It's been 23 years since they've expanded. So I feel like it's got to be around the corner.
Hmm. I should put Rays.
Oh,
The so yeah, 95 was announced. Began play in 98. So yeah, 98 was when it
mhm.
started. Man, but that still feels
Yeah.
so late.
So
I thought it was even earlier than that too.
it's been a while. Yeah.
But
Yeah, because the Marlins and Rockies' first year I think was '93.
and that sounds right.
So like in that 5-year span, they added 4 teams and they haven't done it
Right.
since.
Yeah, and I think it's coming. It makes sense. The game's growing. It
Yep.
makes sense to add some more.
It's going to lower the level of a replacement player. Maybe Jose Osuna can get some positive WAR.
He's coming back. He's gonna come back to play for Charlotte, and he's Jose Batista 2.0, as everyone's already predicting.
He'll be like the Jeff Conine of the Charlotte team, where he'll be like their like first expansion pick.
There you go. 1-1 overall, Jose Osuna.
1-1.
That's like the blind, like me picking the blind side last.
That would be a real
that was
bad
definitely the
first
Jose
overall
Osuna
pick.
draft pick right there, the blind side.
Oh yeah, yes, it was.
All right. Well, you have anything else you want to add to the show here?
I don't think so. Hope everybody has a happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully, it can still be celebrated in a way that brings everyone joy and all that stuff.
Yes. Eat a lot of food.
2020. Yeah.
I know I will. All right. Well, I say the same with that. We will not be live tomorrow night because, again, it is Thanksgiving. But I do believe we're going to have a special interview for a Sunday podcast this week. So tune in and we'll be back next week. So we will see y'all later. Bye-bye.
Bye.